Imagine a missile that never runs out of fuel. A weapon that could fly around the world, not once but dozens of times before striking its target. Sounds like science fiction. But this is not a story from a spy novel. It's a real Russian project, the 9M730 Burevestnik, also known by its NATO name, Skyfall. In this video, we'll break down what this missile really is, how it supposedly works, and why scientists call it the Flying Chernobyl. Let's start from the beginning. In March 2018, Russian President Vladimir Putin stood before his parliament and announced 6 new invincible weapons, meant to ensure that Russia could defeat any missile defense system on Earth. Among them was something extraordinary, a nuclear-powered cruise missile. He called it Burevestnik, which in Russian means storm petrel, a bird known to appear before powerful storms. The name was symbolic. This missile, Putin claimed, could fly for hours, even days, at low altitude, weaving around radar and hitting any target on the planet. But to understand how shocking this was, we have to rewind a bit, back to the Cold War. During the 1950s, both the United States and the Soviet Union explored nuclear propulsion for missiles and aircraft. The US even had a project called Project Pluto, a supersonic, nuclear-powered cruise missile that could fly indefinitely. It was canceled in 1964, partly because it was too dangerous. The idea of a reactor flying through the atmosphere spreading radiation wasn't exactly comforting. So when Russia revived this concept in the 21st century, experts immediately knew it would be both technologically daring and politically provocative. So, what makes the Burevestnik different from a normal missile? Let's visualize it. A conventional cruise missile, like the American Tomahawk, carries jet fuel. It burns that fuel in a turbofan engine to fly a few thousand kilometers. Once the fuel runs out, the missile crashes or detonates. The Burevestnik, in theory, replaces that fuel tank with a miniature nuclear reactor. This reactor heats incoming air, just like a jet engine, but it uses nuclear fission instead of burning fuel. That means the missile could, in principle, fly for days or weeks, covering an unlimited range. Because it never runs out of propellant, the missile can take unpredictable paths, fly under radar, and attack from unexpected directions, even looping around the planet before striking. It's the ultimate surprise weapon. And it's a big but, there's a catch. Operating a nuclear reactor in a small, moving object is unbelievably complex. You have to keep the reactor from melting down, shield the electronics, and ideally the environment, from radiation, and make it light enough to fly. Even today, no country has successfully deployed such a system. So while Russia's claims sound impressive, most experts believe the project faces enormous engineering and safety challenges. Russia began testing the Burevestnik soon after its 2018 reveal. Test sites were identified in Novaya Zemlya, a remote Arctic archipelago, and Nyonoksa, near the White Sea. But results were troubling. In August 2019, a test reportedly went wrong. A missile exploded during recovery operations, killing several Russian scientists and releasing radiation detected by nearby towns. Independent analysts believed it was linked to the Burevestnik. Russian authorities were vague, only saying a liquid-fueled engine had malfunctioned, but radiation levels told another story. Western intelligence agencies concluded that most early tests failed, with the missile crashing after only short flights. Despite that, Russia didn't stop. By 2023 and 2024, satellite images showed renewed activity at Arctic launch ranges. In October 2025, Russian media reported that the Burevestnik had flown successfully for over 14,000 kilometers in a 15-hour test. If true, that would make it the longest continuous missile flight in history. But Western analysts remain skeptical. There's still no independent confirmation, and Russia has every reason to exaggerate its success for political theater. Now, you might ask, why even build such a weapon? To answer that, we need to look at modern missile defense. The United States and NATO have been developing anti-missile shields for decades. Radar systems and interceptor missiles designed to destroy incoming ballistic threats. For Russia, this poses a problem. Traditional nuclear missiles follow predictable ballistic arcs. They launch high into space and re-enter the atmosphere. That makes them easier to track and possibly intercept. The Burevestnik, on the other hand, flies low and slow like a regular airplane, staying below radar coverage and zigzagging unpredictably. In theory, it could bypass missile defense networks entirely. So the goal isn't necessarily to replace other weapons, but to complicate an enemy's defense planning to ensure that no one can feel completely safe behind a shield. It's part of a strategy called assured retaliation. Even if Russia's regular missiles were shot down, the Burevestnik could still deliver a strike, anywhere, anytime. In short, it's not about how many missiles Russia can build. It's about convincing the world that none of them can be stopped. Now let's get into the science and the scary parts. A nuclear reactor produces immense heat, which makes propulsion possible, but it also produces radiation. In an aircraft or submarine, you can add thick shielding to protect the crew. But in a missile, there's no one on board, so shielding is minimal. That means the air streaming through the reactor core could become radioactive, leaving a trail of contamination behind it. If such a missile were to crash, the radioactive material could spread across large regions, land, water, and atmosphere. This is why Western scientists have nicknamed it the Flying Chernobyl. Even testing the engine poses environmental risks. When the United States tried similar experiments in the 1960s, they realized that just testing the propulsion system could release radioactive exhaust. That was one of the reasons Project Pluto was abandoned. And then there's reliability. How do you ensure a nuclear reactor works perfectly while being shaken, frozen, and heated as it travels at high speed through the atmosphere? It's an engineering nightmare. Add to that the problem of guidance systems, communication, and safety protocols, and you start to see why so many experts doubt the project will ever be operational on a large scale. Whether or not the Burevestnik truly works as advertised, it already serves a political purpose. For Russia, the missile symbolizes technological defiance. And it says, "You can't outsmart or contain us." Every time Western nations announce new missile defenses, Russia can point to this project and claim they've already solved that problem. It's also a tool of psychological warfare, creating uncertainty. If even one such missile exists and can fly undetected, adversaries must plan for that worst-case scenario. But it also raises arms control concerns. The 1987 INF Treaty, which once limited intermediate-range missiles, has collapsed. And there's currently no global agreement governing nuclear-powered weapons. That means a country could, in theory, test or deploy such systems without violating existing treaties, yet still spread radiation worldwide. In the bigger picture, the Burevestnik represents a return to Cold War-style escalation, nations showing off exotic weapons to show power and fear. It's not just about warfare, it's about messaging. Reactions from other countries have been cautious but concerned. The United States has called the missile destabilizing and reckless. The United Kingdom described it as irresponsible technology with unacceptable risk. Even China, usually aligned with Russia on global issues, has been notably quiet. Western intelligence agencies continue to monitor test sites via satellite. Every plume, every radiation spike, every movement of equipment is analyzed in real time. Meanwhile, environmental groups and nuclear scientists warn that even a failed test could contaminate Arctic ecosystems for decades. For now, the Burevestnik remains shrouded in secrecy. But every time Russia claims progress, it reignites debate about how far nations are willing to go in pursuit of power. So let's address the big question. Does the Burevestnik actually work? Russia may have achieved partial success, perhaps short-duration flights powered by hybrid systems, but a fully functional, nuclear-powered missile that can fly indefinitely? That's still extremely doubtful. Even if it worked once in a controlled test, turning that into a reliable, deployable weapon is another story. It's like building a concept car that drives once in perfect weather, then expecting it to survive traffic, potholes, and rain for years. So yes, it's a technological marvel on paper, but a logistical and environmental nightmare in reality. The story of the Burevestnik isn't just about one weapon. It's about the human obsession with ultimate power. Throughout history, every major nation has chased a superweapon, something to end all wars. But time and again, those inventions create new dangers instead of peace. From the atomic bomb to intercontinental missiles to now a nuclear-powered cruise missile, the pattern continues. So perhaps the real question isn't, can it fly forever? It's, should it? Because in trying to build a weapon that lasts forever, humanity risks making consequences that last forever too. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us bring more well-researched explainers like this one. And tell us in the comments, do you think nuclear-powered weapons like the Burevestnik are the future of deterrence, or a disaster waiting to happen? Thanks for watching. Stay curious and stay safe.